Do you expect to see a portfolio of like coding work or data work for the applicant?
Oh, it's a big plus, but it's hard to expect that. I wouldn't expect you to show me screenshots of the dashboard you built at the last company you were at. It wouldn't be reasonable, but if you have something from like some independent projects, maybe something from your degree program even, if there were some projects that could be relevant that you're really proud of. I guess I myself have some links to old projects that got published. So if it's something you have, then yeah, that would be cool to see.
What is up, everyone? Mint from Adaptivity here. We are still in our data series with Leese. If you have not heard of the previous episodes, you may want to hit pause and go listen to it before you continue. In this episode, we get close and personal with the big question. What would it look like to be working with Shane as a data analyst, and what will it take? This is where things starts to get technical and more hands-on regarding what you will be doing, the tech stacks, and your day-to-day lives. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, before anything, Shane, please give us a 30-second elevator pitch of what is Seven Peaks.
Okay, so yeah, Seven Peaks is it's a big agency in Bangkok now. Very recently jumped up to about 200 minds strong, and these people coming together to build software projects and design projects, whether it's like redesigning and someone's app or SEO or conversion rate optimization. And it's a very diverse crowd, people from all over the globe. Last I heard, there was 28 different nationalities, actually. Yeah, so I think half Thai, the rest all around. And I'd say it's like it's a pretty work hard and play hard environment. We have a lot of big clients, a lot of big, especially around Thailand, and lots of after work activities. But the name actually comes from a reference to the 7 highest mountains in Norway, the 7 summits, and both of the founders from Seven Peaks are from Norway, and there's actually a few other Norwegians from the Morphosis crew who recently merged with Seven Peaks, and as well some of our VPs. So we have a lot of other people that have blue eyes like me.
All right. So how does data merge into this roles in Seven Peaks?
Yeah, so it was a kind of it was a missing piece of the puzzle for a while now. Obviously, data is necessary for a lot of these projects in terms of measuring success, improving products. You need to have metrics for that. And it was all kind of done within those teams. And so this is more like a decentralized data approach where you probably someone in each UX or product team or someone with some data skills versus having a data department. So in this regard, it's very similar to a lot of companies where they get to around 100, 200 people, or sometimes much sooner depending on the company. You have having a dedicated data team. Well, there's definitely big companies out there that don't have a dedicated data team.
Awesome. All right. So for our audience today, we'll be discussing an open role. Currently, we are in late October 2022. So currently, Seven Peaks is looking for a data analyst to join the team. And we are going to be discussing this roles and job description and see if you have what it takes to become a data analyst at Seven Peak. All right. So Shane, can you tell us a little bit about this role? Because I'm at the job description page, which we will also put this in the show notes of the podcast description. So for those of you who are interested, you can take a look at the show note of this podcast episode, and the link will be right there. Now, Shane, tell us a little bit about this role. What does the data analyst needs to be doing in Seven Peaks?
Well, so a role for data analyst has recently opened up, and it's a growing team, and data scientists joining soon, and very excited about that. So we also need some more junior roles to assist. So people that could potentially grow into data scientists if that's their, their desire, or potentially other areas of the company even, or more specifically towards the, maybe marketing or product kind of role. And that's one of the big things that will be differentiating factors are these, what are the desires of this individual to grow? What are they interested in? What have they done in the past? And the day to day is, it's going to vary. So one day you may be working on a project that is a very new project, and mock-ups of what the app looks like or will look like, or like a dev version of the app, and spend some time mapping out the user journeys, creating a tracking plan, working with like the QA, the developers to see the events we're looking for, the behaviors, the customer behaviors that we're looking at are coming in correctly. That could be something like, Google Analytics even, something that a lot of people know about, but it's free. Yeah, I mean, you could spend a lot of time within the Google Analytics platform or in like Data Studio or some other product analytics tool. Since the service offering that we're building here is to accompany the services that Seven Peaks already offers, or to maybe attract some new customers, but generally, it needs to work together with the rest of our our ecosystem. So it's in a lot of design and product. So the first focus that we have in our team is around product analytics, and then around like BI. So those, this could be for existing or new customers. So the, each day it could be something very different, because we're still building it out. So that versatility becomes a huge thing that I look out for. Even if the individual does a lot of experience, the hunger for this, or the kind of hobbies they have, like side projects, right? So I want to look at people that have a lot of energy and looking to learn, right? So besides, yeah, like if it's not like a product analytics project and it's like a BI thing, you could be building out a data dictionary, some foundational kind of framework for the company's data roadmap, right? And so these things are very important for a lot of companies. A lot of products out there don't have good documentation on what data exists, and especially with an external team that we would be for these clients, they needed to make sure that they have something they can reference after we hand them back a dashboard or some other kind of data deliverable. So a lot of time is spent on creating documentation or these like dictionaries. I mean, anybody that works in data knows they're going to spend time cleaning data. I think that's a given. So you may be sanity checking some data, looking for duplicates. If we're looking at some, like a checkout funnel, we want to make sure that there's not more purchases than there are like things added to the cart, or something that doesn't look right. So there's some sanity checking, and it's something that takes experience and practice to get good at, to identify these issues and know how to fix them, know to identify where it is. Yeah. So a lot of collaboration, taking those tasks and maybe sending it back to a developer, maybe working with me. A lot of this stuff, some of this stuff here, it's side by side work where we're trying to tackle some of these problems. So
Got it. Definitely sounds super versatile, because I think like the nature of agencies such as Seven Peaks, you have lots of projects, which for each different project, like you probably have some different angle to tackle it, because some might be you have to work with marketing data set, then some might be business data set, it depends, or product data set per se. So it definitely won't be a routine where you will get to work on lots and lots of things. Well, definitely, like you mentioned, that you probably will need to be cleaning data for sure, right? That will happen. And you will probably need to work on documentations to those tools or data procedures that is going to happen. You will be creating some data dictionary. And please help me out here. What is a data dictionary?
Well, is a sort of living document that a business user can reference, that is generally maintained by the people generating the data. So if you own the, say Google Analytics as part of the product, it's up to you to know what the different data points mean, or how it's named. It should be worked out in the data dictionary, before the tracking even goes into place. So you know that things make sense, that it's ready for when the product changes, that you can add more events and more tracking. So it's a well a like a Wikipedia in some ways. Dictionary doesn't end just at the data source though. It will also be a place where metrics are defined that can show up in dashboards. Maybe there's some formulas in there. So a data dictionary, it can start with just being a reference manual, like where data came from. But ideally, it's something that then grows on to be a sort of, it could be a data encyclopedia. Even a dictionary is maybe sounds a little bit limited in our days, but yeah, I think this is the place where people go to figure out what certain data points mean, because there's always going to be limits on how you can name your columns. You look at it in a database, it can be really hard to know what all this data means and where it came from. Yeah,
Got it. So it's like a single source of truth for this whole data structure.
basically, yeah, it's your map, it's your navigational guidance. Yeah.
But is it like any different than like documentations, or is it just like a fancy way of calling it in the data industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the documentation for sure. I think in the data industry, it's come to be known as an essential. Now, I think you may still have your documentation that talks more about like your infrastructure itself and like how data moves from one place to another, or there may be times where you have to link between them, but it has to be a little bit more detailed than a lot of other documentation, because data can get really big, and there's a lot of people that want to use it.
All right. And definitely the data analyst needs to do some sanity checks for whatever is happening with the data and database as well. So that will happen.
Yeah,
Cool.
the product's always changing. We have bugs come up, tools that we're using that maybe their APIs change. So the data that was coming before is somehow can be changed, or some code error can always come up, and this can affect the code. And ideally, we have these kind of checks done in like the development environment or something before it goes out to the actual production, where we're using this data to make important decisions usually. So a lot of the sanity checking is, if it's for a new product, this is coming in before it goes out to the world to be interacting with customers. But yeah, after you have clean data though, I think it actually, the job gets a lot more fun.
Which clean data is part of your job, of the data analyst job. So
Right. But after you get this clean data, right? So then, then maybe we were talking more about like dashboards,
yeah.
right? Like, formulas, metrics calculation. Maybe you have to do some table and schema design too. Like this, if it's sometimes an existing project needs to be, our existing client needs some new tables created or something to meet the business needs. So there could be some code that needs to be written in, especially like generally SQL, could be some Python or something. But I think this is definitely the harder, not the harder part, but this this needs to be very careful, right? This is when you're writing the formulas that transform many different data sources or combine them, aggregate them, visualize it in some dashboard, and using say like Data Studio or Power BI. Now, there's always any step along the way can make an error, right? And this is again where you're going to reference back to your data dictionary, right? But in there, I think that's where you can also talk about how this formula is calculated, because when something's going on in the business and a number doesn't look right, we need to have confidence that the data is right, because trust in the data is essential. So this will require being checked by me, by by the project owner before it goes out to the client. We have the opportunity to work with a designer too, to kind of like make the visualizations pretty, right? So not everybody's great at making things very pretty with the right colors and presentable. That's understandable. Or from an engineering background, I also sometimes struggle at making something aesthetically pleasing. So opportunity to collaborate and learn some stuff from from some of the other people in the company.
Awesome. So this role sounds very operational and it sounds pretty hands-on. So definitely if you are joining the team, you would get to do lots and lots of things with lots and lots of different people in Seven Peaks, different teams,
Right.
different roles, and it's gonna be fun. Yep. So what's the required backgrounds? Like can anyone apply it or like do you need to have some specific qualifications and background to apply for this role?
Yeah. And so one of the first things I look for are, hands. Hands are really helpful to write code and like use a computer and a face, but I don't want to discriminate, but to be serious, okay. One of the first things I look for, like mentioned, is on like versatility, right? So it's an attitude thing. I want someone that is willing to learn, that communicates well, likes to collaborate. Obviously, you need to know SQL, Excel, Python, and or R will stand out. These will stand out. Interest in some data science topics, experience with that stuff. Like, you don't need to be a data scientist, but, when someone that's well read can tell a story with data or has done some stuff with data visualization or BI, well organized, can take good notes, has worked in like an agile environment. So we work in sprints generally. So we need to be able to juggle different projects and prioritize, keep me updated on the status, and have some good presentation skills. Yeah, I think those are important. Maybe a degree in like computer science or engineering. Those stand out for me. I think it's more of a background, thing, but yeah, like there's no clear set background requirement where you need to be like computer science, like
Hmm.
master's degree. But again, like I'll look for extra points there is helpful. And looking for someone with some experience, ideally, in an environment that they were challenged, to show that they took on different projects, were interested to, gain new responsibilities in that company, or if you already worked in an agency environment, that's a big plus, considering the unique skill set that develops in this sort of environment. So yeah.
Cool. Does Seven Peaks have a data tech stack that is maybe like different than other agencies or companies that you guys are using?
Well, because we have to generally meet the customer in the middle somewhere, right? It depends on the tech stack of the customer generally and the budget. Uh, but most of our stuff is within either Google or AWS cloud. So, at the moment, I'm really preferring like BigQuery and Data Studio and Google Analytics, and then some other tools like Mixpanel. Maybe some customer will ask for Power BI. We may have to work with Redshift, data warehouse as well, stuff like S3, or other cloud storage. Google has the Google Cloud Storage, which is quite similar. So knowing how to use some of these, cloud resources is quite important. Trello or Jira, those are useful, but even like Google Sheets is quite powerful.
Yeah. So as an agency, basically you will have to follow the customer. The tech stack basically means you do whatever the customer wants or meet at the middle, which means there's going to be a huge variety of stuff.
Yeah,
But home base for you, Shane, is Google Stack and AWS, Amazon Stack.
yeah, I'd say.
So if like, for example, if I'm going to be interviewing for this role, what are some of the interview questions that I would need to prepare for? Or like, yeah, what are some of the hard questions that might come up that I should be ready to answer and impress the recruiters?
Well, if I give you the hard questions, it won't be very hard anymore. So I can't.
I'm sure you have a few. I'm sure you have a few.
I have some questions. Yeah. So, so there's going to be a statistical, like statistical analysis, a real technical test that, should give you a good challenge, problem solving, mathematics, right? But honestly, there's a lot of way to give to the one-on-one conversation that we have, and having the opportunity to engage. So it's crucial because there's a lot of communication necessary in these roles, and we're going to work closely together. So there's like a kind of a cultural personality fit that gives a lot of weight. And better if you don't know the board game, it gives me an opportunity to see if I can, teach you. If we have a good, student teacher mix, so that's an important dynamic in this role is being able to be taught. So maybe not so traditional, but yeah, We can throw some algorithm problems at you as well. Everybody loves those. So, but because it's a fast-paced environment, the personality match is crucial. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not gonna share me any questions, any interview question?
No, I can't. I can't. Yeah. How many tennis balls could you fit in a 737?
Okay, okay. So those kind of question, but then like, do you expect the answer to be like analytical, like written down like, in some sort of data, or do you just want to see like the thinking procedure of the person?
I want to see the thinking procedure.
Ah,
I want to see like how would you do it? How would you do it? I don't want like someone like I don't want a number like estimate. Okay, estimate it. Okay, how does your mind work?
hmm,
Where how deep can you go on something like that? So there's I mean yeah, those are some of those are maybe stolen from Google's book.
hmm,
But again, like it depends on the level of the person. Then I don't want to over challenge them.
hmm.
I do I want to see what they can do. And yeah, I mean, our technical test is more tailored and something that's before the interview itself. It'll be do a lot of the filtering for SQL skills and visualization, stuff like that.
Got it. So, well, prep for the technical interview questions and start counting your tennis balls before you come and see Shane in the interview. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we've covered quite a few things regarding this role.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything else you would want to add that you would want to see in this person if he or she will be joining your team?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I want to at the beginning, I want to see someone that's maybe has some interest in growing in their role, growing in their responsibilities. So if they thought ahead to what they want to be doing in 3 or 5 years or something, that helps really to see someone that I want to invest my time in, and that will grow with us. So that if it fits the career path, that's always a good alignment. The company's pretty fun, and someone that's gonna enjoy the culture. We have like the Tuesday and Thursday lunches. There's ping pong in the office. There's movie nights after work. Sometimes you host talks. Industry leaders on like engineering or design or some consumer tech, electric vehicles, or maybe some product or platform like I think we have something coming up with like Slack and Jira and like things like that. So someone that wants to participate in those things or is interested in that. And oh yeah, we have a beer tap too. So there's that. But it's not open every day.
Big selling point. Big
A
selling point.
little bit, but a little bit. Some people like beer, but like it's nice for Fridays. We'll sit around with your coworkers and half an hour after work, have a beer, catch up, and get to know each other a little bit. So yeah.
All right. Do you expect to see a portfolio of like coding work or data work for the applicant?
Oh, it's a big plus, but it's hard to expect that. I wouldn't expect you to show me screenshots of the dashboard you built at the last company you were at. It wouldn't be reasonable, but if you have something from like some independent projects, maybe something from your degree program, even if there were some projects that could be relevant that you're really proud of. I guess I myself have some links to old projects that got published. So if it's something you have, then yeah, that would be cool to see.
All right. Shane, would you be up to giving the people listening, if they want to become your candidate, a challenge?
I mean, I think in one of the first episodes I mentioned Kaggle. I think there's a lot of really interesting data projects on there where you can get your hands on some data. The candidates I'm looking for have some experience, so should be some things on there where you can reach, for a challenge. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to impress. I think a lot of that stuff that's on there would give me quite a challenge as well. So find a topic that interests you, because a lot of these projects and challenges on there are going to take some significant effort. And I found personally when I was growing as a budding data professional, that the data I was most interested in analyzing and got the best insights out of was around topics that I had some affinity for, like at least I thought was something that I wanted to know. So for your personal projects, if you have some curiosity, some problem that you're interested in solving, I want to see the passion behind it. That's what one of the big things. So, like, find me something that when you present and you're gonna be able to smile while you're talking about it. Yeah, I want to see what your interests are.
All right, I think that's a wrap. So if you guys find this interesting and you find Shane interesting, you know where to find us. Our links would be in the show notes. So thank you so much for your time, Shane.
You're welcome. Looking forward to interviewing some candidates.
All right. So people, go find Shane, go spam his LinkedIn page and go apply and enjoy. See you around. If you enjoy our show, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing to Adaptive Series anywhere you get your podcast from, including YouTube if that is your thing. Find Adaptivity on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website, which is adaptivity.us. Also, we will be turning all the actionable items from the episode into a learning plan on our pub platform. If upskilling is your thing, the pub will do you justice, so give it a try. All links will be in the description of the podcast episode. Thank you for listening, and until next time.